Hey everybody, this next video is actually a segment from my new podcast, The Spectacular Fanboy Talk, with me and my friend Austin. If you're interested in the full discussion, that'll be in the link down below. But this is going to be a spoiler-filled discussion for Spider-Man Far From Home. I just want to say, if you disagree with our opinion, that's okay. Please just be civil about it. It's just our opinion. It's just a movie. You're allowed to like what you want to like. Anyway, let's get into the discussion. Far From Home, you and I pretty much agree on it. I think you're a little more extreme than I am.
Well, okay,
But
the time that I've spent since I've seen it till now, I'm a little bit more forgiving of certain things.
Yeah.
There are some absolute things that I definitely condemn.
Yeah, me too.
Do you want me to go ahead and get into that?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
The biggest one for me is Peter giving the glasses to Mysterio so soon, so sudden.
I think, like, the way it was, like, obviously for the plot structure, it's interesting to see him have a failure and consequences
and
for
there's
it.
Consequences.
Granted, there are only consequences in this movie for the big stuff. There's no social consequences. There's no...
Yeah, I wanted to get into that.
Nobody yells at Peter for ditching the school trip, which is expulsion worthy.
Right.
You know?
Or people getting pissed off at him for constantly ditching.
Yeah, like, the fact that MJ still gets together with him after he ditched her at the opera, that's the perfect, like, example of how this universe has felt with Spider-Man.
I think the biggest one for me, the biggest one that makes me just feel like the whole universe is a joke is when that character Chad, I can't believe his name is actually Chad.
Brad. Okay, I mean, might as well be.
He looks like a Chad.
He looks. Oh, damn right, he looks like a Chad.
When Brad points out to the teacher, he's just like, is no one just gonna not mention the fact that Peter's not here right now? And then the school teacher's just like,
I don't care.
There's just bigger things going on.
Yeah.
And it's just like, what teacher in what universe is gonna be like that?
It's gonna ditch a kid during a fucking crisis.
Right, and I'm not asking for like total realism, no dark, DC universe.
No.
I'm not asking for that. But some fucking consequences once in a while.
Consequences, or even, like, the thing that bothered me about that was, like, the teacher didn't really care that Peter
was missing.
Like, even if you have, like, the worst fucking teacher in the world, it is on them if they lose a student. And it's like, the teacher wasn't really a character because of that. He didn't feel like, if realistically, like a real person would be like, shit, we're missing a student. Mm-hmm. And it would be so cool to see the teacher who has been like a bumbling idiot the whole time be like, drop everything, I'm gonna go find him.
Right. Yeah. You could still even make a joke about that.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you can make some slapstick comedy about him looking for Peter.
Yeah.
You know? It's not a matter of like, oh, well, the tone has to stay consistent or yada yada. It's gotta stay lighthearted. It could still be funny. Yeah. I just want the teacher to actually look for Peter.
Yeah, you can have consequences in a comedy. Obviously these movies are trying to be comedies, which I'm fine with.
Yeah.
Like, I'm fine with a lighter, breezier Spider-Man story. Like, I love the Spidey comics. I'm fine with those. Mm-hmm. But the funniest comedies still have drama, and they still have conflict and characters.
Yeah,
it's not just let's sit around while people crack jokes at each other.
Right.
That's a very modern way of doing comedies, which that's fucking,
Right. Yeah. It's just very half-hearted.
Yeah, which makes me realize. I just realized that Edgar Wright would have made a fucking amazing Spider-Man movie. Yeah. Edgar Wright would make an amazing Marvel movie no matter what. But now he's not doing that. But or Taika Waititi would also be great.
Honestly, I think what would have improved the whole, like, Peter giving the glasses to Mysterio.
Well, we fucking derailed it, yeah.
We're going to do that a lot. We're going to go off tangent, but that's just how we are.
Yeah.
But what would have improved that scene for me personally would have been something like, you should have given us, and I know you're going to hate this, there should have been a scene of Peter actually confronting his emotions. Like, straight up. Confronting the fact that he is upset about Iron Man. Yeah. What would have been the cherry on top is if he would have included Ben.
Well. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he would have made a passing mention about Ben.
I don't want Peter to not give a shit about Tony's death. In this universe, I am okay with a Tony mentorship. It's fine with me. And if you explain to me that Peter cares so much about Tony because he served as a surrogate Ben,
then that's great.
That's perfect. And then he could be like, well, I failed my last father figure, and then I failed him again. Mm-hmm. That's... I'm fine with all that. Right. I think that would be perfect. I think that would have added a lot.
I think a scene like that where you actually explore the fact that, like, obviously we knew as the audience that Tony was a big deal to Peter, But I think for the sake of this film, there needed to be like just a small 2-minute like moment.
Explanation of kind of why.
Right,
Yeah.
you know, with Peter and Aunt May, because Lord knows we could have used some more touching moments with Aunt May.
We could have had a fucking character with Aunt May.
Yeah, and so I think if we would have gotten something like that, we would have then believed that Peter was a little bit more grief driven than he was, because someone could make the argument that, oh, well, Peter was so heartbroken that that Tony's gone, that's why he gave the glasses, and that's a fair point.
Yeah.
But the thing is, though, is the film failed on its job of articulating that, and you know,
it relied on the movie before it. It relied on us knowing the character and just kind of inferring that, as opposed to presenting it to us. And I think, like, in addition, like the glasses thing, the stupidest part about it is it makes, like, I'm fine with Peter giving it to him because for the story.
Yeah.
But the fact that his mindset was, Tony gave this to me so I could give it away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Is Peter a fucking idiot? Like, is that, like, obviously I want Peter to make mistakes, but I want them to be reasonable mistakes. They are mistakes that like you and I could make. If I gave you a thing, and then I died or something, and I disappeared, I don't see you anymore, and you gave that to somebody else because you're like, oh, he gave it to me so he could give it to somebody. Like, no, motherfucker. No, I gave it to you. I would have given it to some, like, it's so fucking...
Especially knowing that, like, you know, Peter has been promoted to an Avenger.
Yeah.
You know, so it's hard to kind of wheel yourself out of that. But, I mean, I guess the idea of this film was that, you know, Peter was trying to, you know, shake his responsibility for a summer. You know, and on the bright side of it, that was the lesson. The lesson was he can never shake it.
Yeah.
It is frustrating, though, that, like, you know, here we have another plot where it just doesn't seem very Spider-Man, because it's just, like, responsibility is literally your thing. Yeah. It is literally, like, the saying that resonates with Spider-Man.
I think if in Homecoming, the responsibility had been a big aspect of it, if they had nailed Homecoming, I would have felt a bit stronger about him wanting to quit. But the problem is, in Homecoming, he also quit. He stops being Spider-Man after he gets to the suit. Like, he doesn't, like, quit, but he just kind of takes a break also. So it's like doing this right after this. It felt so like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
it'd be like if in Spider-Man 3. It'd be like if in Spider-Man 3, Peter quits being Spider-Man. Right after Spider-Man 2, he stopped being Spider-Man. Yeah.
No, I understand that.
Yeah.
What's it called? You know, honestly, now after saying Far From Home, I really do appreciate Homecoming way more. Yeah. I do agree that, like, it still messes up on a lot of the consequences that the movie is supposed to have, clearly, because any Spider-Man movie is supposed to have that.
I want to make sure it didn't fucking... We're good. Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, the thing that I mean, I know that the problem with Homecoming is that it has a lot of, like... It doesn't have a lot of, like, responsibility.
Yeah, it's a very, like, Disney Channel Spider-Man movie.
Right, yeah. He just goes through the motions of it. The thing that I did appreciate was that one actually did feel like... It did feel handcrafted, to a degree, you know, and there were a lot of moments that were very Spider-Man, you know, like the one where he's like in the alleyway putting on the suit.
Yeah, it felt like somebody wanted to make that movie. Yeah, this movie kind of felt like they were like, we have to make a new Spider-Man movie.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So let's what frustrated
let's just throw it all on the computer. Let's just reverse shot every single thing.
Did you hear about how there's I heard this from another YouTuber, so I'm not sure, but apparently there's a deleted scene from Far From Home. Yeah. And what it is him and Aunt May are, like, going back and forth, and Peter had to sell all of his Star Wars.
Yes, I did hear that. Yeah. Not all of it. I heard it was just the one. It was the guy. It was the obscure character from Empire with the bald guy. I fucking forgot his name.
Right. He had to sell something. But still, the idea that he had to sell something to afford this trip. Yeah. God, how much would we appreciate it? I would have appreciated that one tenfold. That would have literally just been like, I mean, it wouldn't have been like when Peter said no to the suit. No. But, you know, still.
It would have felt like he has actual money troubles instead of, like, how it feels right now where the Stark Foundation is paying for everything he's doing.
Yeah, it's just like, you're going to tell me that Happy is not going to pay for Peter? Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he's definitely giving money to Aunt May. Oh, yeah. She's getting some free meals. Yeah. But
yeah, I hated that whole. I think back onto anime. I hated the whole Happy thing. It was fucking gross and fucking, like, inconsequential. It didn't add anything. Yeah, and just like, and it made Aunt May more of a not as much of, like, a sex object like she was in Homecoming, because that was a big problem I had with Homecoming. Like, every single scene she was just like everybody was talking about, like, oh, your aunt's so hot, Peter.
Yeah.
And I got kind of frustrated with that. It still kind of felt like this a little bit better, but it just felt gross and unnecessary.
Right.
You know? So I hated that whole aspect. But the aspect I hated the most, fuck it, we'll just go, I'll talk about that in a little bit, but let's talk about Mysterio, because finally we can fucking talk about Mysterio in spoiler talk, because that's the thing you can't talk about in spoilers, because I guess nobody's gonna know he's gonna be a villain. That's the big reveal. Surprise. Woo! Surprise, the villain from the comics is the villain in the fucking movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, I know you didn't mind this, but I had a big problem with Mysterio being connected to Tony again. Mm-hmm. You know, I was fine with it with the Vulture, because the Vulture in the comics is honestly he's a pretty simple backstory. Mm-hmm. You know, I wanted in my Homecoming rewrite, I say, like, oh, it'd be cool if he was connected to Falcon to keep the universe connected. Yeah. And and you would think, like, I would be fine with them doing the same thing with Mysterio. Mm-hmm. But they connected Mysterio to the holograph stuff from Civil War, and that was cool until I remembered they did that at the cost of the filmmaking aspect of Mysterio. They turned Mysterio from a failed filmmaking, failed CGI effect or practical effects guy into just another tech guy, into just another former employee of Stark who Stark fucked over, and he feels like an Iron Man villain again. Yeah. And it's like you take away the one thing that made Mysterio so fascinating to me. Not the one thing, because I always loved how he was a failure and all that stuff, like fucking Mike Gargan. But you take away the one thing that I loved about him, which was that filmmaking aspect. And did you see NerdSync did a video about Mysterio and how it changed his life and stuff? Yeah. And it's Mysterio didn't have that big of an effect on me, but I could see it having that effect on other people. This version of the character doesn't do that. This version of the character is just I'm just an engineer. I made a thing, and then
I made this great tech, and then it's called Barf.
And it's and that was cool, and I liked how it connected. But then, I don't know. It felt so at the expense of something else about the character. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, I think really what saves it for me is honestly just Jake Gyllenhaal. Yeah.
Whoever fucking cast him, good fucking job.
Yeah. Someone threw this point out that Jake Gyllenhaal is kind of directorless. You don't need a good director to direct him.
Clearly look at him.
He shows up on stage and he just does his thing.
Yeah, he's incredible.
And I love how intense, how noble, and also how just unstable he can come off. So I think that was what I was looking for in Mysterio. Yeah. I was looking for a failure who just knew that he wasn't a failure and that he needed to be praised and yada yada yada. He needed to be a celebrity in some capacity.
And they did a great job with that. They really did. And I do like his motive of in this fucking world, nobody gives a shit about the smart guy. Nobody gives a shit about the smartest person in the room. They give a shit about the guy with the colorful costume. And that's such a that was a good one. That was a good. I liked that quite a bit. And I think it would have been cool if I think Mysterio should have gone bad a little bit earlier. We should have found that out not at the beginning of Act 3, but more towards the middle with more evil Mysterio, because that's what I paid to fucking see. I didn't pay to see the shit with the Elementals. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, the Elementals are a funny thing. I wonder if we're ever going to see
I don't think
actual Molten Man.
I don't think so.
By the way, you remember that villain that's Liz's brother? Spectacular?
Man,
yeah, that's Molten Man. Because I remember you and me were wait, they created their own character. No, it's Molten Man.
I don't.
Molten Man actually looked like that. Yeah, he actually just looked. It was weird. Yeah, I like the new design.
I don't like how they're fucking Molten Man. I'm okay with them doing this for, because Molten Man is kind of a smaller character. Hydro Man, that thing's not fucking Hydro.
Thank God.
At least they didn't call him that in the movies.
Well, here's the thing. Thank God they never mentioned Sandman. Because where we really wanted Sandman to show up, thank God they never actually were oh yeah, this is a Sandman.
Yeah, I would have been furious.
Because then you would kind of be throwing him away. Yeah. Not that there's not room for a Hydro Man to exist.
No, I'm sure. No, there is. But I'm saying
it still does feel like a tool was thrown away.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And Hydro Man is by far not the greatest Spider-Man villain ever, but I do have this connection of I watched one of the first animated series episodes that I watched was the Hydro Man episode, and I was like, this is really cool, and I really liked him. Yeah. And I never saw anything with Hydro Man ever again. Yeah. But I do still have that memory, and it's if they did throw him away, I would be pretty bummed about that. So I'm glad they never called him that in the movie. But yeah, and then so back to Mysterio. that fucking illusion scene, everybody agrees is fucking fantastic. Of Peter fucking fighting. It's fantastic. Except it's all done on a fucking computer. Every single. Did you see the fucking? They released a CGI breakdown of a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
You know the scene where Nick Fury is sitting in the chair with the gun?
Yeah.
That's not real.
What?
Sam Jackson's real. The gun is fake. The background's fake. The chair is fake.
God.
Why? Like, cool. Good job. You did it. But why? But why? It's like the fucking... They CGI'd the white costumes in Endgame.
Uh-huh.
Why? Just make it. You have the money. It doesn't make the movie any better to not... It makes the animators work harder. Like... It's just like how they CGI over Spider-Man all the time.
Uh-huh.
Like, you make the animators work harder, and then you give you waste all the time for the suit design. It's just like that. Yeah. I think it's because they crank out these movies so fast. They don't have the time to build stuff.
I think that's it. I think that, and also they're trying to cut a lot of costs.
Yeah.
But like,
you can see
out.
You can't really pinpoint it,
mm-hmm.
but you can feel where the costs are cut.
I felt like that in Avengers Endgame.
Yeah.
Personally, maybe it was just because of the quality.
Yeah. And the fact that Endgame was built up to be this big thing, and then
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. For whatever reason, when I was watching Endgame, I kept seeing things that just looked so fake to me. That I was just like,
it's like maybe take a couple 6 months. You know, this doesn't need to be a summer movie. Mm-hmm. This could have been a fall movie. It would have made the same amount of money. You know, would have beaten Avatar. Don't worry about it. Would have beaten your other #1 movie. Doesn't he calm down?
Freaking monsters.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. But yeah, so that illusion scene's really great. Mm-hmm. It would have been nice if he wasn't in the black suit. I hate that stealth suit. I think it's ugly. But, you know, whatever. That's just such a stupid nitpick of me.
I like, what is it? I like how at the end, Peter actually kind of ran out of web shooters.
Yeah, that's something we never, like...
I don't think we've ever seen that.
I don't think so either. Like, in the Amazing movies, we expected that.
And he had to...
We did see it in Amazing 2, I think.
Probably for a moment.
In the Electro fight, he used all of his webs.
Right.
Yeah.
Or no, they short circuited.
That's what it was.
Because Electro was short circuited.
That's still basically the same thing. So,
I always like those kind of moments. Those are Peter Parker moments.
Yeah.
Those are moments when like you get to see Peter actually, use his brain and improvise.
Doesn't need a fucking computer to tell him what to do. Thank God.
Yeah.
They got rid of that. It still exists. There's no way it doesn't exist.
Right. I bet it's still in the Homecoming. You know what I really hope he throws out? The Iron Spider suit thing.
Put that in the fucking trash.
Can you just can someone? Well, actually, okay. Let me segue into this. Do you think if we get a third Spider-Man movie,
we are getting a third Spider-Man movie?
If we do, I would really like to see someone repo a lot of Spider-Man's tech from like repo all the Stark tech from Peter. Because do you think that would happen if the concept, because if New York hates Spider-Man, and let's say law enforcement gets involved and maybe someone a little bit bigger, and since Shield is in space, sorry for spoilers.
No, we're good. But don't worry about that.
But I don't know. Maybe this is a bit of a stretch to say, but like. All of Peter's access to... Like, maybe Pepper Potts pulled the plug on it. Yeah. She was just like, you're too controversial. Yeah. I can't have anything to do with you.
We can't fund you anymore.
Yeah, your life support's gone.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, we gotta repo this Iron Spider suit, and everything's taken away from him.
Peter goes back to his house, and everything's gone.
Right.
Like, fucking, like, that PS4 scene where he's just evicted.
Right, exactly. And, like, even Aunt May's just like, okay, well, I guess let's just go back to living a normal life. And then Peter's just like, oh, well, I gotta still be a superhero. No, you've done enough.
Yeah.
Okay? You know what I mean? Like, I think that's a nice hard reset that could bring it to where we want it to be.
Yeah, but that is done at the cost of... Is it
going to happen?
Yeah, and it also is it done at the cost of everybody knowing Peter's identity now? And is everybody knowing Peter's identity going to actually lead to conflict, or is it just going to lead to more fun, breezy jokes? Yeah, exactly. With Aunt May.
Yeah. The reality is that's what it's just going to be.
Yeah.
The way I see them fixing the identity thing is like, it just takes a quick Shield thing here or there.
Yeah, but it's like...
But why go through all that trouble?
Yeah, it's so cheap, and it's like, they're really rushing to get to these stories, which... The reason that I have seen for why they're rushing to get to Aunt May knows, everybody, the whole universe knows, is because apparently Marvel is unsure about Sony, and they're worried Sony's going to pull out, so they want to get through the stories really quick. It's like, no, because if you do the stories well, Sony's going to want to stick with it because they're going to keep making money.
Yeah.
And it's just, but I guess now I'll fucking talk about the
I
Sony
want to hear
thing.
about
Yeah,
this.
so there's a report out that Sony said if Far From Home doesn't make $1 billion, we're pulling out, and that's could very well be true. Wouldn't surprise me. Good on Sony for probably sticking their dick in there and take it. Taking because Sony for Homecoming was pretty like hands off. But what I heard this morning. I don't know how true it is because it kind of conflicts with what I understood about the deal.
Yeah.
Supposedly, the deal is if Sony pulls out of the movies, all the characters that Marvel used, Sony won't have. Neither Sony or Marvel will have the rights to. So the reason that Michelle isn't Mary Jane is because so I guess Sony makes the movies. I always thought Marvel made the movies and Sony was just producing it, but from what this is saying is that Sony's writing the movies and stuff. But I suppose, or maybe Sony is just producing like, don't do Mary Jane. So from what I heard, if Marvel made Mary Jane, redhead Mary Jane, classic Mary Jane from the comics, and Sony pulled out, Sony wouldn't be able to use Mary Jane. And neither would Marvel. It would be in this weird middle ground where neither of them can use it. Same with Ned Leeds.
Wow.
So like the reason that Ned's not just
picking
Genki.
characters that really are throwaway.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's why it feels so weird. Except I saw that and I was like, this makes sense. Up until I realized you have Aunt May.
Right.
You have Peter.
Yeah.
You have Flash Thompson. You have other characters that you can't ditch those characters. Yeah.
What happens to the villains? Too,
exactly. And it's like
you're just not ever gonna have Vulture, Mysterio.
Yeah. Well, what they were saying is it's the interpretation that Sony would still own the rights to the spandex-wearing old man Vulture with the wings, but Marvel would be the ones with the tech flight younger aviators, and same with but it gets a little grayer with the Peter because this Peter isn't that different than what Sony would want to do probably.
Yeah,
it's just like the more tech focused, more Tony focused. So it's like it doesn't add up too much to me, but it does explain it somewhat if this is the case. I don't know if it's the case.
Yeah.
This is just a fucking rumor, but it would explain it. It's not an excuse by any fucking means.
Yeah.
It's not an excuse because you could still tell the story the same, better.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, we don't need Mary Jane for a good Spider-Man story. We don't need Harry Osborn for a good Spider-Man story.
The fact that I forgot that the fact that during the movie I did forget that her name was Michelle. It's impressive on the movie. I will give them credit for that.
You don't need a lot of iconic Spider-Man characters to make a good Spider-Man movie,
but you do need the weight, and that's what they're like.
Right,
and there's no Sony can't have a copyright on drama.
Right,
that doesn't make fucking sense.
Yeah, I was watching a couple of like videos and podcasts really about like the whole situation with like Spider-Man and the $1 billion.
Yeah.
Most likely, let's be real here, it's probably going to reach a bill. The only thing that's scary, the only thing I think it has going against it is Disney's stupid ass Lion King getting ready to come out.
Nobody wants to see that.
I hope so. Because then...
I mean, no, maybe I don't want to see that. I probably will end up seeing it because I'm a piece of shit. But I don't know. It's kind of this weird... Maybe people will love it, but it's not getting great reviews. Reviews came out today.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, we'll see, but...
And
I think kids are going to be like, I would rather see Spider-Man than see a bunch of lions talking around poorly.
Yeah, the people who grew up, like basically us.
Yeah. That's
basically the demographic.
But it's not even though, because it's...
But not like us, but our age.
It's made for people who liked it when it was old, but they don't want to watch a cartoon. Mm-hmm. They're like, cartoons are gross, so I want to watch this I want to watch this cartoon that's not... It's live action, trust me. But
I know it. My brain's telling me no, but my eyes are telling me yes.
Like, yeah, it is. But it will probably reach $1 billion. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. It's like I might get shit for saying this. Mm-hmm. I kind of want Sony to take it back. Ooh. If Sony is if it is the case where they can't use these things, they can't use the real Peter Parker, they can't use Mary Jane, they can't use Harry Osborn and stuff like that because of that. They can't make a good Flash Thompson.
Right.
Maybe it might be for the best to take it back. Mm-hmm. Take it back now, y'all. Fucking one hop this time. Sony just keep Tom Holland. Get better writers. Treat it more seriously. Don't get your fingers in the pie.
Right.
And Sony hopefully learned that. And I think they learned that with Spider-Verse. They let it alone. Yeah. So hopefully they learned their lesson. But if they learn their lesson, that might be for the best. Personally, that's just my opinion. I'm gonna get shit on for that. But
let me add on to that. if they were to take him back and they kept Tom Holland and it was just clearly like they just continue making stories about him.
Yeah, just like a soft reset still. Yeah.
You know, but like obviously just no other Marvel mentions, but it's just, but it's still the Tom Holland story still going forward.
Yeah.
I could definitely still get behind that.
Yeah, me too.
If it was a straight up like
full reboot again now.
Full reboot, I would.
I mean, Tom Holland is a
that would upset me personally because I'd just be like, oh come on, please, can we get somewhere?
Yeah, exactly.
But what does have me hopeful about like the MCU Spider-Man is just that. I don't know. It seems like there is a lot of room for him to grow.
There is. There absolutely is.
And
yeah.
Am I more... I mean, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about the third Spider-Man movie that's going to come out. I am excited that apparently there's rumors that there's going to be a lot of Spider-Man movies.
Yeah, I mean 9 movies. Yeah, so maybe by the 6th movie we'll have something we like because according to all the fans, just give it time, he'll grow into the Spider-Man you like. Trust me, guys. By the 2nd movie, he'll be great. Trust me, guys. By the 3rd movie, he'll be great.
Yeah, he'll be fantastic.
Yeah. It's like that's the same excuse of like just let Zack Snyder do his thing. Let him.
Yeah, let him do his thing. He'll eventually give us the character that we somewhat recognize.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, and I definitely agree.
Yeah.
I don't think that the MCU Spider-Man is by any standards the definitive Spider-Man. Yeah. You know what really kind of got me to relax about the franchise the way it is right now? The moment I realized this really is just a kids movie.
Yeah, it is. It's a Disney Channel original movie.
Right.
Which that's a little insulting to things like Minutemen because I fucking love those Disney Channel original movies. But
right, but like once I realized that, I was just like, okay, all right, that's why the consequences are not harsh. That's why you're not going to see MJ,
which I just don't understand.
Get proposed by
Yeah, but it's like as a kid, I fucking watched the Spider-Man.
I know. Either way, we watched that film.
Yeah, Spider-Man is a kid's property, just like Star Wars is a kid's property.
Yeah,
just because it's a kid's property doesn't mean you should make the prequels
and
be baby stuff.
Yeah,
but you can still tell the mature stories. But you're right; they are treating it like a modern kids thing. Like
it just made me feel a little bit better, just because I was like, okay, fine, just write it off like that.
Yeah,
and basically cut your losses.
Yeah,
that's how I had to, which sucks in general because in this landscape of all these faithful comic book adaptations, it still is a bit infuriating that like Spider-Man is not where he should be.
Yeah, it's not the pinnacle because you'd think we've had so long.
I mean,
we've had 3 interpretations.
What I want from the MCU Spider-Man is I want him to be a pillar of the MCU like he is in the comic books.
Exactly. Yeah.
I want him to be in his own corner where he gets where cameos can happen in his movies or whatever, or he can cameo in other movies.
Yeah. Treat him like the Guardians.
Honestly, and just let him do his thing. He's got enough villains that they all can, you can literally make like 10 sequels.
Yeah, exactly.
And you'll be fine.
That's what Sony was going to do.
You can take his villains and have them go into other movies. Yeah. Spider-Man is just one of those characters that I just hope that like he can just grow on his own.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm kind of excited for the future of him. But at the same time, it's tough seeing this Spider-Man mentor like evenally Miles Morales.
Yeah,
how's that gonna happen?
Yeah, exactly. I could see maybe them killing off this version and bringing in an older one, but maybe Toby if it's gonna be a dream come true. But yeah, I don't
Toby
see
would
this.
do it.
No,
I know,
he wouldn't.
Especially
Andrew might. Andrew totally would. I think.
I think so.
No, Andrew got fucked over. Andrew. I saw an interview with him and Amy Adams, and they were both like, "We don't want to touch superhero stuff ever again."
Yeah,
because they were like, "We both got fucked over on these characters that we love." So.
Yeah, honestly, realistically, I don't think that would happen either. No. Although I think, like I said, Marvel and Sony are totally interested because that's why J.K. Simmons came back.
Yeah.
That's the only reason, because they knew that, like, that kind of hype in a movie or in any kind of franchise obviously sells tickets.
Yeah.
Especially when you have a bunch of people like, I mean, I had a bunch of friends blowing up my phone telling me like, stick around for the end credit scene, which of course I am.
Yeah. I mean, I got spoiled that spoiled
that
for
me.
Sucks. Yeah. Well, it's because I kind of expected it because he was at the red carpet and stuff. So like,
was he?
Yeah, you saw him. And it's like,
well, that's why you can't watch that. I know. Stuff.
Well, no, I wasn't watching that stuff. It just showed up on my fucking Twitter.
Showed up on your feed.
Yeah.
Oh dang. Yeah. No. I mean, honestly, that's just really it. I don't know if I'm excited for the next one, but I also am. Mm-hmm. I don't know.
I'm intrigued. I'm not excited because I have this cynical feeling that they're gonna not do it as well as it could be again, like the past 2 movies, but it could be decent. It could be better.
Right. Yeah. And what hurts for me the most is Watts is going to do what he did with Aunt May at the end of Homecoming.
Yeah.
And that is all the character growth, all the interesting, scenes that you would want to see, a director tell. He's going to skip over it and let your imagination...
6 months later, everybody's kind of over hating Peter.
Right, He's going to let your imagination fill in the storytelling. Yep. And that's just a bad director. Yeah. That's a bad storyteller in general. Because... leaving it up to the audience's imagination is
for
great.
Certain things,
It works for like horror movies,
but there are other things you need to see.
Right, just to tell a competent, good, story.
We needed to see Peter and Aunt May when she first saw him in the suit.
Yeah,
we needed to see him try and explain it away, and then her being like, "What the fuck." Or and her being mad, and because in the JMS run, she doesn't talk to him for weeks because of this.
Right,
she gives him the silent treatment for like a month.
Or at the very least, if you're not going to give us that, give us the moment when Peter and Aunt May, embraced again. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. When, she hasn't seen him. I mean, well, for her, it's probably she hasn't seen him in a day. Yeah. But, still some sort of emotional tension, because even though I do appreciate that the movie explained the blip right away and kind of in a comedic tone to counteract Avengers Endgame. It was a little too comedic because this is a serious thing. Like you could have still kept all the comedic stuff. That's fine, whatever, with the school. But I do think that emotional moment with Peter and Aunt May could have served a larger purpose. Just this feeling of loss. Exactly. Really, that's what needs to. That's what should have been felt throughout the entire movie. Loss and responsibility. Yep. And
because that's literally the entire fucking point of Spider-Man. Yeah. Really, at the end of the day. Yeah. Yeah.